Big fan of Sheila Johnson. I know Sheila very well. She is a great role model, leader, owner, a terrific, successful, wonderful person. I have no idea why she said what she said.
WNBA's billion-dollar blunder. Top journalist exposes shocking anti-Caitlin Clark plan. What's going on, world? Hoop fam. It's your boy John Liquid Dinner back with a story so explosive, it's practically setting the WNBA on fire.
In popularity of the WNBA and really all women's sports. Christine, we are so happy to have you here.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me. Great to see you in person.
I know.
We're talking about a truth bomb dropped by legendary journalist Christine Brennan that has completely exposed the league's baffling and, dare I say, almost sabotage-level mishandling of the biggest superstar women's basketball has ever seen, Caitlin Clark. This isn't just news, it's a deep dive into an epic faceplant by an entire league, leaving us all asking, was it jealousy or just pure, unadulterated incompetence? Let's get into it. For years, the WNBA has toiled in relative obscurity, a fantastic product with incredible athletes.
Your legs, and then today we'll have a practice, we'll watch more film, there'll be more recovery stuff, but like you know, the turnaround time is very quick, but it is for them too.
Largely ignored by mainstream sports media. Then, like a supernova, Caitlin Clark exploded onto the scene. Her college career at Iowa wasn't just a phenomenon, it was a revolution. Record-breaking performances, sold-out arenas, and TV ratings that shattered expectations, even outdrawing men's college basketball. Everyone with a pulse could see what was coming, a generational talent poised to change the game forever. Yet, according to Christine Brennan, one of the most respected sports writers in the country, the WNBA brass apparently saw a problem, not a gold mine. Brennan, with decades of experience covering every major sport imaginable, decided she'd had enough of the nonsense. She dove headfirst into an investigative tell-all, not some fluffy girl power piece, but a no-holds-barred expose on how the WNBA spectacularly fumbled the Caitlin Clark moment. Her new book, which is already shaking the league to its core, reveals a level of cluelessness, underlying jealousy, and outright laziness that should send shivers down the spines of everyone from Commissioner Kathy Engelbert to certain disgruntled veterans. This isn't a spicy hot take. This is scorched earth journalism, backed by serious research and undeniable observations. Brennan pulls back the curtain on how the WNBA, instead of rolling out the red carpet and popping champagne, seemingly responded to their sudden, unprecedented relevance by popping antacids. It's almost as if they preferred their little, cozy pond to suddenly becoming an ocean. One of the most jaw-dropping revelations from Brennan's expose highlights the league's astonishing short-sightedness. The day after Caitlin Clark officially declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, Brennan, as any top journalist would, called a senior league official to gauge their excitement. You'd expect fireworks, right? Confetti cannons? Hype beyond belief? Try again. The league official, with a straight face, told Brennan that Clark's arrival was the biggest thing since, wait for it, Maya Moore? Now let's be clear. Maya Moore is a legend, an absolute icon of the game. But outside of hardcore women's basketball fans, Maya Moore was, to put it politely, largely invisible to mainstream America. People couldn't pick her out of a grocery line, let alone recognize her as a household name. This comparison alone speaks volumes about how utterly detached and out of touch.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to play basketball, and that's my job. That's what I'm going to do. I was excited. Honestly, the review took too long for me. I wanted to get playing basketball again, and that's
the WNBA leadership was, and perhaps still is, from the broader sports landscape. Brennan, drawing on her extensive experience covering global events like Wimbledon, Super Bowls, and the phenomenon of Tiger Woods, immediately recognized the disconnect. She was getting text messages from good guys, fathers who wanted their daughters to play sports, but had never watched a second of women's basketball, all asking, "Are you seeing this Caitlin Clark performance?" People were standing in line for hours in the cold to watch Iowa play. This wasn't just another great player. This was a cultural avalanche waiting to happen. The entire nation was about to be strapped in for the Caitlin Clark show, and the WNBA leadership was still stuck in a time warp, comparing her to stars who barely moved the needle. And how did the league respond to this priceless heads-up? They sat on their hands. They did absolutely nothing. It's almost impressive how incompetent one has to be to miss the easiest marketing layup in sports history. But the absurdity only deepens. Brennan's book lays bare the painful truth. The WNBA suits didn't just fail to prepare for the Caitlin Clark effect. They couldn't even fathom it. They were so utterly resigned to being the perpetual backbench of professional sports, so accustomed to irrelevance, that they literally couldn't conceive of a world where millions of people genuinely cared about their product. Imagine running a bakery and being genuinely stunned when customers show up to buy bread. That's the level of pathetic Brennan uncovered. The financial implications of this colossal blunder are staggering. In 2023, the Indiana Fever's attendance hovered around a modest 4,000 fans per game, roughly the size of a Texas high school gym on a slow Tuesday. Then, Caitlin Clark arrived for a preseason warm-up. Suddenly, fans were lined up outside 2 hours early, like it was a Taylor Swift concert. Building security was literally stunned. They had never witnessed anything like it. This wasn't a slow build. It was an overnight explosion of interest, all thanks to one player. So, how did the WNBA capitalize on this tidal wave of new fans and unprecedented attention? Did they orchestrate dazzling media campaigns? Did they roll out the red carpet for their generational cash cow? Of course not. Instead, they responded like grumpy old neighbors, seemingly annoyed that all these new eyeballs were finally paying attention. It's absolutely unreal. Perhaps the most damning aspect Brennan uncovers is the deep-rooted bitterness and jealousy simmering beneath the surface. Her book meticulously details a culture where players, league officials, and even some legacy media figures simply couldn't handle the fact that Caitlin Clark, a rookie barely out of college, was drawing more crowds and airtime than veterans who had been grinding away for a decade. Suddenly, gyms were packed. Ratings were through the roof. Every podcast wanted a piece. All thanks to Clark. Brennan doesn't shy away from the uncomfortable truth. A white woman from Iowa entering a league that is 74% black. This racial dynamic, coupled with Clark's immense popularity, became an issue for some. Instead of celebrating the fact that a rising tide was lifting all boats, bringing more money, more visibility, and ultimately bigger opportunities for everyone, the league and some of its players responded with icy cold shoulders, dirty fouls, and snide comments. Referees, perhaps influenced by this underlying tension, began swallowing whistles, allowing aggressive, often flagrant fouls against Clark to go unpunished. Media scribes, seemingly taking their cues from within the league, cranked out think pieces complaining about how Clark was getting too much attention. It's like someone handed them a winning lottery ticket and they complained it wasn't in their favorite color. Brennan directly calls out established players and coaches, individuals like Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, Cheryl Swoops, with her flurry of falsehoods, Cheryl Reeve, and even Gino Arima, for actively trying to minimize Clark and being overtly critical of her. These are figures who, by all accounts, should be champions of the league's growth. Yet, Brennan highlights their baffling negativity. Clark is not a victim. She's feisty and tough, which only adds to her appeal. But for this group to publicly undermine her, to want to say such negative things and be so wrong about her, as Brennan puts it, is truly astounding. The craziest part is how incredibly obvious all of this was to anyone actually paying attention. Caitlin Clark's 4 years at Iowa were a masterclass in building a national brand. She shattered records, sold out arenas, and single-handedly turned casual observers into women's basketball fanatics. Everyone with even half a clue could see her massive following would come to the WNBA with her. Everyone, it seems, except the very people whose job it is to grow women's basketball. They were too busy acting like gatekeepers to notice that the gates had been blown off their hinges. Brennan also dives deep into a cultural sickness within the WNBA, a twisted mindset in some corners of the league that believes mainstream popularity somehow taints the purity of their game. As if millions of new fans, sold-out crowds, and huge TV deals are some kind of sellout sin. This thinking, Brennan exposes, seeped into how Clark was treated all season long. Instead of being protected and promoted as the undeniable face of the future, she was allowed to become the target of envy-fueled attacks. Players threw cheap shots, coaches popped off with salty comments, and the media tried to spin it like Clark was getting too much attention. Imagine being so backwards that you're offended your league finally matters. The WNBA's faceplant of its biggest marketing opportunity is painfully obvious. They were sitting on a gold mine with Caitlin Clark, generating more buzz than the league had seen in decades. And somehow, they fumbled it like they'd never heard the word promotion before. The merch situation was a clown show. The scheduling was a string of baffling choices that looked like they were picked by drawing names from a hat, often hiding marquee games in no viewership time slots. The overall marketing game plan felt like it was run by people more comfortable running a lemonade stand than a professional sports league. Brennan's book makes it crystal clear. This wasn't accidental incompetence. It was almost deliberate blind eye syndrome. They had mountains of data proving Caitlin Clark was their ticket to the moon, but they chose the safe, small world they knew over the terrifying concept of actual, undeniable success. Even now in Clark's sophomore season, the league still can't quite figure out what to do with the monster star power they've lucked into. The TV numbers are still bonkers whenever she plays. Her jerseys and sneakers vanish faster than limited edition Jordans. Every arena she walks into is sold out with fans screaming like it's a rock concert. And yet you still get this awkward vibe that plenty of folks inside the league would rather the whole Caitlin Clark circus just disappear so they could go back to their cozy little echo chamber.